All right, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, Wadash. I want to say double honors and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders, a great millstone for teaching his word and truth and sincerity, for ruling well, and salutations to the 144,000, along with the mixed multitude of men, women, and children, which make up the elect. All right. I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii, coming to you with another quick lesson. And this lesson was inspired by a few videos I've seen Apostle Tahar did, and he spoke about cartography, okay, which is the study of maps, or pretty much the study of the drawing of maps, okay. And in order to understand this truth, you got to know a little bit about a lot of different things, such as languages, such as the ancient Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, Assyrian Hebrew, Latin, the Greek. You got to know about history and how it lines up and pertains to prophecy in the Bible. All right, you got to know a little bit about maps. You got to know where things are situated on the earth. Okay, the vast majority of people you come across in your everyday life, when you ask them simple questions, they can't answer these questions, man. But we're not like these people. We're not like them that sleep in the dark. We're in the light of Yahweh Bashem Shai. So I just kind of wanted to shed a little bit of light on cartography as pertaining to the scriptures, and I wanted to start with our forefather Abraham. Okay, our forefather Abraham had the journey from Ur of the Chaldee all throughout what we call the Fertile Crescent. All right, today. All right, what is the Fertile Crescent? The Fertile Crescent, a term coined by the University of Chicago Egyptologist James Henry Breasted, refers to the crescent-shaped region in Western Asia, formed by the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers and the Mediterranean Sea. This region gave rise to some of the world's earliest civilization. All right, so we as Israelites, we started from the Fertile Crescent. We came out of the Fertile Crescent. Our land today is still situated in the Fertile Crescent, what you call today the state of Israel. That's our forefathers' land. That's our land. That's where we come from. We're not, just because we're dark skinned or we're so-called dark brown doesn't mean that we're Hamitic. We're actually a Shemitic people. All right. We come out of Shem. We don't come of um out of Ham. All right, Salakia. Right? We don't come out of Ham. Just because we're dark skinned does not mean that we're Hamitic. Okay, we're actually Shemitic. And it's hard to find the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary downloaded online. So a lot of times we got to get the physical copy of it. But I found this, right? And it tells you about Ham. Okay, Ham is the father of the Hamites. All right, and Ham, what is this? Slovakia. Ham's land primarily is in what you call today modern day Africa. All right, and some of his seed actually rested in the land of Canaan, whom the land of Canaan is named after. And then you have the Philistines or Phoenicians who came out of Ham as well. But we're not Hamitic, okay? So it says the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, Negroes are not from the line of Ham. Right, now who was Ham? Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. And that's what we're called today in this land, the so-called Negroes, you so-called black African American, including to include the so-called Haitian, West Indian. They call us Negroes. When they put us in captivity here in America, they were selling in Hebrews and Negroes, which those are interchangeable with one because we're those people, right? It says he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, which the Egyptian is a Greek word. It should have been Matazarian, right? The Ethiopians, that's another Greek word. It should have been the Cush. Libyans and Canaanites. And I think Libyans is really the foot or put, and the Canaanites. His indecency when his father lay drunken brought a curse upon Canaan, right? And we're not Canaanites. We took over their land, but we're not Canaanites. We're actually Israelites from out of the line of Shem. And Shem, when you get a biblical map of let me see. Land, right? When you get a biblical map of Shem, Ham, and Japheth land, right? These are the areas in which they primarily encompassed, right? The Shemites. Let me see if I can get this in a different image, and maybe it'd be a little bigger. Right. The Shemites had a portion of land, and this is after the flood. After the flood, and the floods receded, Ham, Japheth, and Shem, they took over areas within the land, within that area. All right. And Japheth, which is these modern, I live in the land of Japheth, which is so-called Polynesian, Micronesian, Melanesian people. These people, they once dwelt in Europe. All right. Their land was Europe. All right. And Shem, which multiple nations come out of Shem. You got uh, Israel or Yasha Allah. You got Elam. You got Elam. You got Ishmael. You got Edom. You got Moab, Ammon, Ashur. You know, they come out of just a few family members out of line of Shem. Then you got Ham. Ham. You got Montezarium or Mizraim. You got Mizraim. You got Put. All right. You got the Philistines, Canaan, right? The Canaanites who dwelt in the land of Israel, which Canaan, the land of Canaan was changed to the land of, named after our forefather Israel, Yasha Allah. All right. But the point of the matter is that these are the areas in which they stayed, right? These are the lands that they populated along with their children. All right. Now you have this area right here. You see this right here. It says Ur of the Chaldees. That's where our forefather Abraham came out of. All right. So I want to go just talk a little bit about that. I'm going to use Josephus as well as a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu. As well as the scriptures. All right. So this is Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. And I hope that this lesson is edifying. Okay. Genesis 12 and 1, it says, Now the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto the land that I will show thee. And the reason why the Lord brought Abraham out of his people, his father's Terah's house, was because they were idolaters. All right. And Abraham grew up in that, but then the Lord called him out of that and said he's going to give him his own land. All right. And unto the land that I will show thee, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And that great nation that came out of Abram or Abraham, his name was Abram at first, was Israel, is Israel, Yasha Allah. And it says, And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed, right? And that's because we were going to be scattered amongst these nations, all right? It says, So Abram departed as the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Lot was his nephew. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Now, where is Haran at? Let's look this up. Haran, right? And it might seem a little boring, but I love doing this kind of stuff. This is history. This is our history, And Jake shouldn't find it boring. You should find it interesting. Jake like to talk about, things that are controversial, like the nigger woman or some of these Fallout demonic, demon possessed fallouts and stuff. But we can edify on many levels, not just those. So he said he got out of he departed from Haran, right? Haran. Okay, it says in the Hebrew, that word is Haran. That's a Hebrew word. All right, Paleo Hebrew word Haran. All right, and it says a mountain near Haran. It says the son of Caleb by his concubine Ephah. It says the city to which Abraham migrated when he left Ur of the Chaldees, and where he stayed until his father died before leaving for the promised land, located in Mesopotamia in Padanaram, at the foot of Mount Messias, between Kabar and the Euphrates, right? So this, again, we had a biblical map. I had a better one. We had a biblical map. This is the land of Ur. And in this land, you had a city or a place called Haran. And the Lord told our forefather Abraham to leave this land, and he was going to take him to the promised land. Now that trek that Abraham took, he basically took the fertile crescent. You know, he went up through Assyria, Nineveh, Assyria. He through the Hittite Empire area, down into Canaan, right? He even went into Egypt. In the book of Josephus, it speaks about that. I'm gonna read it in a second, but let's try to stay. Let me try to stay focused a little bit more. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 12, because you gotta understand something. Like, we're still in these times. We're still in biblical times. We're still in the times of the Bible. All right. This is the end of the world of the heathen. We're in captivity. This history is not too far from us. All right. It might seem far, but it's not, you know, and we're still living in biblical times, just like our forefathers were living in biblical times. All right. That's something you got to realize too. All right. It says, verse 5, and Abram took Sarai his wife and Lot his brother's son and all their substance that they had gathered and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. So they had slaves and servants. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and to the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Morah, and the Canaanites was then in the land. So this is way before, obviously, our forefather Jacob was born, you know, before our forefather Isaac was born. And the Canaanites were still living in that land. And they were peaceable with him at that particular time, but they were still going off. But they were peaceable. He worked with them. He talked with them. You know, he dwelt among them for a while, and then he moved on. It says, and the Canaanites was then in the land. Now the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. Which seed is that? The Israelites. All right. There he builded an altar unto Yahweh, and who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto the mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched a tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and called upon the name of the Lord Yahweh. And Abram journeyed, going on till toward south. So he went, let's go back to that map real quick. he went up from out of the Ur from Haran, out of Ur of the Chaldees, and then he came down and he went south. This is south. He came through Canaan and he went south. All right. And that will bring you into what you call today modern day Africa, pretty much Egypt. All right. So just to line that up with scriptures, let's look at this. This is from the Josephus, all right, the Antiquities of the Jews, chapter 7. It says, how Abram, our forefather, went out of the land of the Chaldeans and lived in a land called Canaan, but now Judea, right? So our forefathers was allowed to survey the land that the Lord was going to give them. The Lord was taking them on a trip to show them what he was going to give his seed, you know? It says, now Abraham, having no son of his own, adopted Lot, his brother's Haran's son, and his wife Sarai's brother, right? And he left the land of Chaldea when he was 75 years old, and at the command of the Most High went into Canaan, and therein he dwelt himself, and left it to his posterity. So that land was left to his children, the children of the promise, right? He was a person of great sagacity, both for understanding all things and persuading his hearers. So the Lord blessed Abraham with a sagacious mind, right? For people who don't know what that word sagacity is, right? Sagacity. And it says the quality of sagacious, right? It says sagacious, having or showing keen mental discernment and good judgment, shrewd. He was very intelligent, clever, wise, knowledgeable, right? He was very knowledgeable. And the Lord blessed Abraham like that, yo. And so that's why when he went amongst these other nations, they took to him, you know, they took to him. So it says, both for understanding all things and persuading his hearers, uh, and not mistaken in his opinions, for which reason he began to have higher notions of virtue than others had, and he determined to renew and to change the opinion of all men happened then to have concerning the Most High, because back then the people, just like they are today, they were given into idolatry. They were given into worshiping false gods. You know, whatever they deem to be a god, that's what they which they worship. So like, I'm gonna turn this down something slowly, a little bright for my taste. So he was basically testing their metal when it came to their gods, man. You know, and he was hoping that he would be able to convince the people that he came amongst, like, look, man, I really know the living power. His name is Yahweh. You know, we call him, we say Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Yahweh in the name of his only begotten Son. And it says again, and to change the opinion all men happened then to have concerning the Most High. For he was the first that ventured to publish this notion, right? And they try to give um that credence to some Egyptian pharaoh. I forget that guy's name, but he wasn't preaching. He wasn't talking about one living power. What they call monotheism. It didn't start in Egypt. It started with our forefather Abraham, right? Which that's the belief in one God. All right. And it says he to publish the notions, then that there was but one God. Yep. The creator of the universe, which is Yahweh. And that as to other gods, if they contributed anything to the happiness of men, that each of them afforded it only according to his appointment. So he's basically saying, trying to tell these people, like, listen, if you believe that these other gods, you know, give anything to the happiness of men, they do it on the accordance of the Most High, Yahweh. He's the top power. Obviously, those gods don't exist. Only Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua exists, right? So it says, and it says, uh, and not by their power. Let me read that again. It says that each of them afforded it only and all. Only according to his appointment, and not by their own power. This his opinion was derived from the irregular phenomena that were visible both in land and sea, because these different nations, they worship things that were seen. You know, the Most High is an unseen power, right? You got let me get this precept real quick. It says it's in Wisdom of Solomon. I think it's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. Just bear with me, brothers. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. Yeah, it says right here, Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 1. Okay, it says again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through the raging waves calleth upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carrieth him. It says, for verily desires of gain he devised, that the workman built it by his skill. It says, but thy providence, O Father, governeth it, for thou hast made a way in the sea and a safe path in the ways. Right. So it's talking about man will give credence to a piece of wood, you know, an idol that he had created, and he would say that, you know, he would pray to that piece of wood that it would give him safe travels. But in reality, the one that gave you safe travel is Yahweh Bashem Shai that made a way, right? It says, verse 4, showing that thou canst save from all danger, yea, though a man went to sea without art. Yep. So the Most High can save you from anything. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing a rough sea in the weak vessels are saved. Says for in old times when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped in a weak vessel and left to all ages to see the generations, right? Because our forefathers they perished because they were doing the same thing. They were doing idolatry, right? This one we were called the sons of God, you know. But what 8 souls escaped in a weak vessel, along with a whole bunch of animals, right? And it was left to all generations, to see to all generations. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. That's right. It says, but that which is made with hands is cursed as well, it as he that made it. He because he made it, and because being corruptible, it was called a god, you know? Yep. I'm trying to look for another there's some more in here. If I can find it. Slake. Hold on. Maybe the chapter. It says well, I'll read this. I'll go ahead back to 9. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in a creature of the Most High they became an abomination and a stumbling block to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. And the souls of men that it became a stumbling block unto the feet of the unwise is the Israelites, us, you know. Let me see. It was another precept I wanted to get that kind of go with it. It says it speaks about they deem like the waters. Hold on. Let's see. The waves. Let's see. They deem let's see. Thunder. I thought it was in his precepts, but it may not be. It may not be. Anyway, this is what they were doing during the time of our forefather. You know, and likewise, this is still a problem. It's still a major problem in the world. You know, this is why the Lord pulled Abraham out of that, you know, and plus he gave him his own land, you know, to his own posterity. So let's go back to Josephus, right? Speaking about our forefather Abraham. It says it says this his opinion was derived from the irregular phenomena that were visible both at land and sea, as well as those that happened to the sun and the moon, uh, and all the heavenly bodies. Thus, if, said he, these bodies had power of their own, they would certainly take care of their own regular motions, right? Because all these different bodies, heavenly bodies, the sun, the moon, the stars, they have to move in operation. You know, they move. They have a cycle, and if they were independent of the Most High, then they could change up their cycle anytime they wanted to. But they not. But these same things is what the people of the world worship. You know, like I live here in Babylon. Well, this is Babylon, but I live here in Japhet land, and one thing that Japhet and the rest of these heathen nations have in common is that they have a pantheon of idols, right? They call them a pantheon of gods, right? If you type in pantheon pantheon of Hawaiian gods, right? They got a god. They got a god for everything, right? The shark god, right? Pantheon of idols, right? Right? They got a Hawaiian religions, right? Right here, they got 4 gods. So it says one breakdown of the Hawaiian pantheon consists of the following groups: the 4 gods, the 40 male gods or aspects of Kane, the 400, listen at 400 gods and goddesses, the great multitude of gods and goddesses, right? Spirits, you know, the guardians, right? They so-called got a deity for creation. It says Not all ancient Hawaiians believed in deities. Some ancient Hawaiians were atheists, referred to it as Aia. Yep. Well, yeah. I know they got a volcano god, Pele. And these niggas really be worshiping that shit. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me see. I know they used to have like a cartoon image of Hawaiian god. Yeah, this shit right here. Yeah, this like they got a Marvel. It's like Marvel comic books, like DC and Marvel. And even the Egyptians got one of these things too. You got Kane, Papa, Lono, Ku, Pele. She's supposed to be the god of the volcanoes and shit. You know. Then you got a god of water. You know, these all these nations have these things. You know? Now a lot of them don't worship them today because they worship in Christianity. They in another idol worship, right? You know, you got a lizard goddess. Look at this shit. This is crazy, bro. And same thing they were doing in the ancient world. And our forefathers um got with these nations amongst these nations and started following their shit. The Earth Mother, Papa. Ain't no Earth Mother, you know? Lino, goddess of the mist. You know, you got the moon goddess, goddess of dance. You got a water goddess. You know, this is these nations, they're heathens, man. But this is what the Lord was bringing us away from, and He was separating us from. All right, that's why He told us this in the book of Jeremiah, right? The book of Jeremiah 10:1. Okay, Jeremiah 10:1 says, "Hear ye, hear ye this word which the Lord spake unto you, O house of Israel." Says, "Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." Exactly, you know, and that's what the Lord was always punishing us for too, because we will go against His word. So going back into this, in the Josephus chapter 7, it says, it says, uh, it says, they would certainly take care of their own regular motions, but since they do not preserve such regularity, they make it plain that in so far as they are cooperate to our advantage, they do it not of their own abilities, but as they are subservient to Him, who is the Him, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, that commands them, to whom alone we ought to justify to offer our honor and thanksgiving. For which doctrines, when the Chaldeans and other people of Mesopotamia raised a tumult against them, right? So when Abraham, our forefather, started preaching to his family members, people around him in this area, in his town, in his cities, these people, they started bucking up against him. They started wilding out. And that's another reason why the Lord got him up out of there, because these guys would have tried to kill him. It says he thought it fit to leave that country, and at the command and by the assistance of the Most High, he came and lived in the land of Canaan. And when he was there, settled, he built an altar and performed a sacrifice to the Heavenly Father. Right? It says Berosus mentions our father Abram without naming him when he says thus, in the 10th generation after the flood, there was among the Chaldeans a man righteous, a great and skillful in celestial science. That's our forefather, man. So celestial science didn't come from Egypt either. It says, but Hectaeus does more than barely mention him, for he composed and left behind him a book concerning him. And Nicholas of Damascus, in the 4th book of the history, says thus, Abram reigned in Damascus. So our forefather was a king, man, being a foreigner who came with an army out of the land above Babylon, called the land of the Chaldeans. But after a long time, he got him up and removed from that country also with his people, and went into the land that is called the land of Canaan, but now the land of Judea. And this when his posterity were become a multitude, as to which posterity of his we relate their history in another word, which is the Israelites. Now the name of Abram is even still famous in the country of Damascus, and there is showed a village named from him, the habitation of Abram. Right. Okay. So yeah, our forefather Abraham, he came out of there. Now in this book, from Babylon and Timbuktu, it's two things I want to kind of focus on. I want to read chapter 1. This is chapter 1 right here. But I want to show you something real quick. And this is from the notes in this book. The reference that Rudolph Windsor used to create this book. All right, just bear with me. Right here, right? Yep, right here. And if you can see it right here, where I'm pointing at, it says, I'm gonna read it right here because it's kind of broken up right there. But it says this. It says this on the notes at number 12. This is number 12 right here. It says Herbert Wendet, a German writer, says all indications point to the fact that Asia, and that Asia is talking about not East Asia where you know Moabites and them stay at. This is Asia too. This is why they call portions of this Asia Minor, but this is Asia too. Southwest Asia, right? So it says let me go back to this. It says all indications right here, number 12. All indications point to the fact that Asia was a cradle of the black race. It began in Babel, and this is from the New York Delta Dell Publishing Company, 1964, page 368. Yep. It says, for more information about the Sumerians, read It Began in Babel by Herbert Wendet. Right. Okay. So that show you that we came out out of Mesopotamia, man. And our forefather Noah, when his boat had landed, it landed on Mount Ararat, which is in modern day Turkey today. All right, I think that's somewhere around here. You know, so since the black race was the cradle of civilizations, started the black race, the so-called black race, which we're not black. All right, we're different shades of brown, but we're Asiatic people. We're not a Hamitic people. All right, we're not a Hamitic people. So going back into this book, Babylon and Timbuktu. Going back in this book, Babylon and Timbuktu. Going to the first chapter. Going to the first chapter. Yep. It says this. It says more than 6,000 years ago, in a land called Mesopotamia, which we're reading about, there developed the most remarkable civilization then known to mankind. Right? Because when they talk about the ancient world like that, they make it sound like it was an archaic and barbaric area in time, and that people were smart and that we didn't have technology, but we did. It was just in certain manners. But like the scripture says, there's nothing new under the sun. It says this civilization was centered between the Tigris and the Euphrates, right here, right here, right. This is Euphrates and the Tigris River. They run side to side. They run kind of parallel next to one another. This will be the Tigris, and this is the Euphrates. And this area is modern day Iraq, right here. All of this right here, right, modern day Iraq. And this was the cradle, the real cradle of civilization. Well, really, the cradle of civilization was in Jerusalem. That's where our forefather Adam and our foremother Eve dwelt, right? Salaki, where we at? So it says this civilization was centered between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. These rivers began in the mountains of Armenia, it says, and flow in the southeastern direction toward the Persian Gulf. The soil of this area is tremendously fertile because of the alluvial deposits brought down by the two rivers. European civilization developed from ancient black civilization. They did. Without this black civilization, white domination and influence as we know it today would have been improbable. What you call today white, them Edomites, they did come out of two so-called black people, which was Isaac and Rebekah, all right? And his brother Jacob was dark skinned like his mother, but Esau was, red all over like a hairy garment, you know. It says, but they try to point it out. They say that all life began in Africa, which there's no proof of that, because it didn't. It says a number of different tribes were entrenched in the southern part of the Tigris-Euphrates region. The southern section was known as at different times by many names, among which are Sumer, Akkad, and Chaldea. But the name best known to us is Babylonia. This area was also the location of the Garden of Eden, which it wasn't. He's going off. He's going off. It says the people of this region were jet black. All right, the people of this region were jet black. I shall prove conclusively that the black people have the most ancient history of all humans. The best available source of proof in this history of the Jews, known as the Bible, which we're reading. In Genesis 2 and 10, it is written, and a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into four heads. There were four rivers which watered the garden of Eden. I shall cite the third and the fourth rivers. The first, then I shall proceed to the first and the second rivers. You got which we'll go to that. Genesis chapter 2, verse 10. Genesis 2 and 10. Right, Genesis 2 and 10. It says, and a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and thence it was parted and became into four heads. The name of the first is Pison, that is, which compasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. I think, sure, Pison. I used to have this written down. But it said it passed the whole land of Havilah. Hold on, Salakia. I'm gonna show y'all. It's a part of the Havilah. Man, I hate these fucking heathens, man. Havilah. Havilah. Havilah, right. So Havilah today, which this river, this is the Nile River, right? That the river Pison is the Nile River, right? Because they say Havilah in India or here, but no, it's this area. And it says also where it's rich in gold. I think it's Pison. I want to say I'm 100% sure, but I just want to make sure because I could be wrong. Because this is Turkey, Armenia, Iran. Nah. Let me read. Let me keep on reading. I'll get it to you. So it says the name of the first is the Pison, that which is compassed the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold out of that land is good. There is bedlam and onyx and stone. And the name of the second is the Gihon. The name is the compass. Okay, Salakia. So it's not the Pison. The Pison is the Red Sea. Salakia. Let me go back to this. The Wadi Yahweh Shai. So this is the Red Sea. This is the Pison River right here. Right. And the Gihon, which today is called the Nile River. All right. And it said it passes the whole land of Ethiopia. It said the name of the second river is the Gihon. The same is it that compasses the whole land of Ethiopia, which this would be the Nile River. It says, and the name of the third river is the Hiddekel, that which goeth toward the east of Assyria, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. So the Hiddekel is what you would call the Tigris River, all right? And then you have the Euphrates, all right? So let's go to a map. Let's go to a map real quick. Where was he at? Right. So again, the Gihon River is what you call the Nile River today, which compasses the whole land of Ethiopia, because this was called for some time. Then you have the Pison, which will be the Red Sea. Then you have the Tigris River, which will be called the Hiddekel, and then you have the Euphrates. The Euphrates is the only river that kept its name from the ancient times. Okay, so yeah, this is all part of what we call cartography. All right, cartography is a study and a practice of using maps. So we're studying maps right now. All right, That's what we're doing. We're sitting here and we're studying the map. We're going through it and showing, where it lines up with the scriptures, how it pertained to us as Israelites, our forefathers, because we're going back to this land, right? But the land we're going to go to is going to be bigger. When you type in Abraham land blessing, which I love this. I did a video on this before. Abraham's land blessing, right? This is what's going to be the new Salakia. This is going to be our new land when we get it. This is why Esau wants the greater Israel. That's not big enough. The greater Israel project, right? Abel's land blessing images. Let me see. Yeah, right here. So our land is going to be extremely enlarged, from what it is today. What people fight over today is going to be, which they fighting over all of this area, but this is going to be our land, and it's spiritual because we were in captivity and all of this, you know. So these lands today are separated by borders created by Esau, but in the kingdom of heaven, these are going to be our borders. Our border is going to extend, and our capital is going to be right here in Jerusalem, all right, which is in the modern state of um, uh, Israel today. All right, let's get that Abraham's land blessing. We'll close it out. Abraham's land blessing, right? Um, um, Abraham's land blessing. God, so this is the land blessing that the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai gave to our forefather Abraham, which is going to go to us, the Israelites, all right? The true Israelites. This is Genesis 15 and 18. It says, in the same day, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, right? So that's all of this land right here. The Canaanites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. So that's this land right here. So all the land between Egypt, the river that flows through Egypt, which is the Nile, all the way to all the land that's in between the Euphrates River is going to belong to us. And the land of Canaan. Real quick, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 8. Genesis 7, and I will give unto thee and thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. So that's how you know this is talking about the Israelites, because the Lord is our God, right? All these, because at one point our forefather Abraham was a stranger in these lands, right? So the Lord's going to get it to him as well as us, all right? So going back into this map right here, it shows you Abraham's inheritance, which is ultimately the Israelites' inheritance, starting with Yahushua, all right, who was an Israelite as well. So this is going to be our land. So right now you got these nations, particularly Ishmael and Edom, fighting over the land of Israel right now. This little swath of land right here, and ultimately Esau wants to gain control over all of this. They got something called the Greater Israel Project, right, where they want to control all these different lands, right? Let me see if I can find it. Right. The Greater Israel Project is a Zionist plan for the Greater Israel by dividing the Middle East. Right? It says, come on. It says, while turmoil and anarchy in the Middle East can be attributed to the disunity among Arabs The possibility of an execution of a well-known Zionist plan to divide the Middle East and the fragment states cannot be ruled out. The Bernard Lewis plan, named after its architect Bernard Lewis, a specialist in Oriental studies, the history of Islam and the interactions between Islam and the West, was published by D.J. Lewis as widely read expert in the Middle East and is regarded as one of the West's leading scholars in the region. In his over 60-year career, his advice has been frequently sought by policymakers, including the Bush administration, in order to help the. I'm not going to read all of this. So they got something called the Greater Israel Project, which they trying to get control of all of this, right? But they're not going to get this. This belongs to us. So when you see our borders, they're going to be extended. The choice land is going to be that pit called Israel, because this is the Lord's pit. He got his favorite river is there, which is the Jordan River, and his favorite pit is the land of Israel. All right, this was the garden planted eastward in Eden. All right, right here. Okay, which they call this the Middle East. Well, guess what? All this gonna belong to us. Every last bit of this, and these are all profitable and fertile lands. And then even this right here, this desert, this is gonna be filled with lands and rolling hills and fertile mountains, and it's gonna be beautiful. Rivers flowing through it, all of that, all of that, yo. And this is us. All right, this is the blessing that we got coming, and on top of the fact that we're gonna own the whole planet, But this gonna be the place to be, man. All right here. But mainly that you come to Jerusalem, it's gonna be extremely beautified. But I just wanted to show you using cartography, the map. This is our blessing. This is our land blessing that our forefather Abraham inherited from the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Shai, and we are going to inherit this land too when Yahweh Shai come back. And all this is going to be beautified, right? Okay? And when these nations get their land back, Montezarium not going back into this, because this is part of Israel. You know what I'm saying? This is what you call what they call Africa today. Nah, that's just gonna be, it's not gonna be called that. It's gonna be Yasha Allah right here. All of this, man. This is so beautiful. I love looking at this picture because when I see it, I was like, dang, man, our forefathers is blessed. We gonna have little islands, you know. Salaki, I'm ranting a little bit. But even look, Cyprus River's gonna be the island of Cyprus. It's the Mediterranean Sea. That's gonna be ours, man. All the coastal areas. Elder Mwachazak was telling us about this, the coastal areas, and how we're gonna have control over all of that. So then you got, and it's spiritual because we was in prison in captivity in all these lands, man. As well as around the world. So, I just wanted to bring this out. This is a little biblical history using cartography. So I hope that you are edified, and leave a link and leave a comment in the comment box if you are edified. So that's shalom, on to the next.